Hello all, hope you're having a great day today. Today we're talking about strategic and operational planning. This is chapter 4. So effective managers develop sound strategic plans and set achievable objectives. Does the organization you work for or play for have a plan? What are the objectives it intends to achieve this year, in 2 years, and 5 years? In this chapter, by following the steps in the strategic process, you can improve your strategic planning skills. At the more personal level, follow the steps of the writing objectives model to develop effective objectives for your personal, sport, and professional lives. So after studying this chapter, you should be able to explain how strategic and operational plans differ, describe the differences between corporate, business, and functional level strategies, and explain why organizations analyze industries and competitive situations, as well as explaining why organizations analyze the company situation. You should also be able to discuss how goals and objectives are similar but not the same, and how to write objectives, how to write 4 corporate level grand strategies, and look at the 3 growth strategies. We'll also be discussing the 3 business level adaptive strategies and the 4 functional level operational strategies. I look forward to talking with you. Let's get to it. So strategic leadership and planning are major determinants of organizational performance. There is a relationship between formal plans and team performance. Planning is one of the most important tasks managers do, and it is crucial today. Planning has 3 major benefits: speedier decision making, better management of resources, and clearer identification of the action steps needed to reach important goals. The North American Society for Sports Management expects sport management students like you to learn how to plan. Level management and the board of directors have the primary responsibility for strategic planning. Sport governance is the responsibility of the overall direction of sport organizations. National organizations such as the United States Olympic Committee or USOC, state, high school athletic associations, and professional sport teams need to provide direction to their organizations. Strategic development is a key component of corporate governance. One key issue is that CEOs need to work closely with their board of directors to make sure that important strategic goals are reached. However, poor planning of the use of organizational resources can lead to failure. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. A prime example is the XFL, which was the World Wrestling Federation's attempt to develop a new professional football league. The XFL failed to assess the control that the XFL has over player talent. Although the XFL was able to secure some television coverage, the quality of the players and ultimately of the game itself was not high enough to make watching worthwhile. Better planning might have led to creating an alternative football league, such as the Arena Football League or AFL, instead of competing directly against the NFL. The AFL is played indoors on a much shorter field than regular football, and it uses nets on the goalposts to help keep the ball in play. However, after an absence of a few years, the XFL has announced the league will return to the playing field in 2020. The WWE founder and president of XFL, Vince McMahon, has stated the new XFL feature shorter, faster-paced games that are family-oriented and easier to understand. Player safety will be a main consideration in all decisions, In anticipation of the upcoming 2023 season, the XFL and Ticketmaster announced a new multi-year partnership, making Ticketmaster the official ticketing partner of the XFL. All 43 games of the XFL, 40 regular season games, 2 playoffs, and 1 championship across the league's 18 markets will be ticketed by Ticketmaster. So hopefully they have a better game plan this go around. They also are looking to increase player talent and making sure they have better quality players. And so planning alone won't secure the success of new ventures. Planning increases their likelihood of survival. And good planning is based on conceptual decision-making skills. And sometimes it takes a little bit of failure as well. I think that's why we're seeing XFL come back into play. In strategic planning, management develops a mission and long-term objective and determines in advance how they will be accomplished. Long-term generally means longer than a year. In operational planning, management sets short-term objectives and determines in advance how they will be accomplished. Short-term objectives are those that can be met in a year or less. Much of team management is evolving from a focus on winning as a means of realizing short-term profits to a focus on strategic management of the team brand as a means of realizing long-term appreciation and franchise value. Strategic planning and operational planning differ primarily by time frame and by the management level involved. Strategic plans are typically developed for 5 years and are reviewed and revised every year so that the organization always has a 5-year plan. We developed a 5-year strategy to increase sales. Top-level managers develop strategic plans. Operational plans are developed for time frames of 1 year or less. Middle managers or first-line managers develop operational plans. The strategic process is about developing both long-range and short-range plans that enable the organization to accomplish its long-range objectives. If we use the means and ends analysis from Chapter 2, top managers determine the ends and middle and lower level managers find the means to accomplish the ends. Hosting major sport events requires long-term strategic planning that are well coordinated with the short-term plans. The investments must fit into the city's long-term plan to make the event economically successful. The Olympic Games require extensive long and short-term planning by the IOC and the cooperation of the host country and city. We got to see a little bit of a microcosm of that this summer with the TAF Games and how the city and CCISD and TAF worked together for the games to come together. It was a 2-year, they were in consecutive years, but they had planned, they put that bid in a few years before. I believe it was like 4 years before. And the strategic process, managers develop first the mission, then they analyze the environment, set the objectives, develop strategies, and then implement and control the strategies. Developing strategies takes place at 3 levels. As you can see from Figure 4.1, the process is not a linear one. Managers continually return to previous steps and make changes. Planning is something that is an ongoing process. Also note that management performs the 4 management functions of planning, organizing, leading, and controlling in the strategic process. And like I said, the process is not linear. There is interplay among the steps and the levels. Sometimes you go forward and sometimes you go backwards, and that's okay. An organization strategy is a plan for pursuing its mission and achieving its objectives. The 3 levels of strategies are corporate, business, and functional. We'll examine these 3 levels in more detail later in the chapter. Here we are simply defining them to give you an overview. Corporate level strategy is the organization's plan for managing multiple lines of businesses. Many large companies are actually several businesses. Adidas, for example, sells footwear. Golf equipment, and cycling products. The company treats each product line as a separate line of business. Business level strategy is the organization's plan for managing one line of business. Each of Adidas's businesses has its own strategy for competing in its market. Functional level strategy is the organization's plan for managing one area of the business. So functional areas include marketing, finance and accounting, operations and production, human resources, and there could be others just depending upon the specific line of business. Business level strategy is the organization's plan for managing one line of business. Each of Adidas's businesses has its own strategy for competing in its market. In fitness, Reebok's aim is to be the leading performance fitness footwear in the world in terms of sales and profitability. Reebok has made significant gains in the fitness market by sponsoring CrossFit programs. For example, the best CrossFit athletes in the world come together to compete for the titles of fittest man and fittest woman on earth at the Reebok CrossFit Games. Functional level strategy is the organization's plan for managing one area of the business. Functional areas include marketing, finance, accounting, and as I mentioned, the others. Managers in each of the Adidas business line are involved with these functional areas. So, for example, Reebok has combined product, marketing, brand, communication, and retail marketing into one fully integrated global marketing team. Reebok has used Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook to make sure Reebok is well known in the CrossFit market. Reebok has been the main marketing sponsor for CrossFit for the last 8 years. CrossFit exercises include tire flipping, box jumps, pull-ups, and weightlifting, among many other rugged exercises. To create value, a strategy must fit with the capabilities of the firm and its external environment. The organization's internal and external environment factors are analyzed as step 2 in the strategic process, which determines the fit. Another term for analyzing the environment is situational analysis. A situation analysis draws out those features in a company's environment that most directly frame its strategic window of options and opportunities. Situation analysis has 3 parts. Analysis of the company's industry and its competition, the analysis of the company's particular situation, and the analysis of its competitive advantage or lack thereof. Companies with multiple lines of businesses conduct environmental analysis for each line of business. Thus, competitive analysis is important to strategic planning. The Callaway Golf Company, for example, faces strong competition from Ashnut, which is the Titleist brand, Adams Golf, Lies Fairway Woods, TaylorMade, and Orlamar, which is tri-metal fairway woods. Companies use analysis of the industry and their competitors primarily at the corporate level when they are deciding which lines of business they should consider entering or exiting, and how to allocate resources between their product lines. We'll return to the topic later in the chapter, but Nike bought Bauer, a hockey equipment manufacturer, because the company decided that this was an attractive industry. At the center was #1 rivalry among competing firms like Nike, Reebok, Adidas, Fila, and others. They face strong competition in style, price, and image. Surrounding it each with an arrow pointing back to it are the following. #2, potential development of substitute products and services. Brown shoes, sandals, boots are all products that are marketed properly. They can replace sneakers. However, they pose no real threat because buyers still prefer special athletic footwear for various activities. #3, the potential entry of new competitors. The athletic footwear industry is a large, mature industry. However, there are newer competitors such as N1 that have been able to successfully enter the basketball footwear and apparel industry. And #4, bargaining power of the suppliers. Nike has a great deal of power over the Asian factories that manufacture its sneakers. And then number 5, bargaining power of the buyers. So consumers of footwear have a great deal of power because they can switch for numerous reasons. So in looking at a company's situation, you do an analysis of that situation. Step 1 is assess the present strategy. This assessment can be a simple comparison or a complex analysis of performance. Measures looking at your wins, your championships, attendance, market share, sales, net profit, and so on over the past 5 years. Step number 2 is to analyze the SWOT. So the SWOT analysis is a highly recommended tool. It's one that's used in marketing primarily, but is really important, again, looking at the situation, looking at the strengths and weaknesses of the organization, and then the opportunities and threats with the external environment, and analyzing that to assess their strengths and weaknesses. I believe we talked about that in chapter 2. So the SWOT helps you know how the firm is doing. There is a sidebar with the Nike's company situation that we just went over. Talked a little bit about SWOT analysis. Step number 3 is assessing competitive strength. For a strategy to be effective, it must be based on a clear understanding of competitors. Management should always be wondering, what are we missing in the marketplace? Did Nike miss the emergence of fitness and CrossFit type programs that Adidas and Reebok have capitalized on? Did Nike miss entering the performance wear market that Under Armour did so well in creating a whole new line of sporting apparel? Skechers went from a marginal fashion footwear company to having comfortable shoes with memory foam endorsed by Sugar Robinson, Rob Lowe, and Brooke Charvet. This has helped Skechers' stock price increase quite significantly. Looking at critical success factors can help improve a company's assessment of its competition. Some critical success factors, or CSFs, are pivotal activities that the business must perform well if it is to win its race. It is imperative that management compare its CSFs for each product line to those of each of its major competitors. This takes a great deal of business acumen and objectivity. Organizations typically use one of 2 approaches. The first and simpler approach rates each CSF from 1, which is weak, to 10, which is strong, and tallies the ratings to rank competitors. The second approach uses the same rating system but weights the CSFs by importance, with the weighted total equal to 1.0. The weight is multiplied by the rating to get a score for each firm on each factor. Scores are totaled to determine the final rankings. And Nike's company situation analysis shows weighted CSF rankings for Nike, Under Armour, and Adidas Reebok. Step number 4 is making conclusions. The questions here are not simple to ask, but not always easy to answer. How is the business doing compared with its competition? Is our market share improving or slipping? And then step number 5, decide what issues to address. Using information developed in steps 1 through 4, management now asks what needs to be done to improve our competitive position. So this is the present strategy assessment with Nike. They're doing so well, and they are profitable and continue to be the leading company in the sport footwear and apparel industry. However, finding new ways to grow the footwear business is difficult because Nike already has such a large percentage of the footwear market. Increasing sales globally would be important. That is, trying to lessen the importance of the Northern American market. Nike's stock price has been steady but not spectacular in the $50 to $60 range. So for the company, so far the company has been able to hold off many of the strong competitors, such as the merged Adidas and Reebok combination, but growth in areas such as golf could be harder to achieve since Tiger Woods, the centerpiece of Nike Golf sales, is starting to use more tailor-made woods to help revitalize his golf career. Tiger will still represent Nike Golf Apparel, but it appears he'll become more closely affiliated with TaylorMade in the future. So the SWOT analysis is really looking at the strengths. Nike's strength is its reputation for high quality and innovative footwear. Nike is also known for its innovative marketing. Nike ads are part of pop culture and impressive achievement. Famous campaigns feature Bo Jackson, Michael Jordan, and Tiger Woods. The Nike swoosh is highly recognizable worldwide. Nike's recent comeback has been greatly helped by increased sales of Nike apparel. And Nike Plus works with Apple products to help runners calculate their distance and speed. Nike ID allows customers to design their own footwear. Some weaknesses. Tiger Woods' personal troubles off the golf course and his lack of winning on the golf course threaten to slow down Nike's gain in market share in the golf industry. Improved research and development by Adidas Reebok threatens the perception that Nike is the technology leader in the footwear industry. Another area of some concern is that global sales, for example, in Europe and Asia, have increased at a much faster pace than domestic sales in the United States. Some opportunities. Nike has an opportunity to capitalize on its own Nike Plus technology. This is a sensor that's placed in Nike footwear that interacts with Apple iPods to record the distance a runner has competed and the calories that have been burned. Another opportunity will be capitalize on an endorsement deal with LeBron James after his NBA playoffs and championship series appearances. Nike ID is a unique website that allows consumers to design their own footwear. It's fun and creative website that could be further marketed. Some threats. The United States economy and relations with other countries is a bit rocky. While President Trump was in the White House, competitors such as Under Armour and Adidas Reebok have been able to secure contracts with colleges, the NBA, the NFL, and the NHL for their apparel businesses. Younger target segments often prefer video games such as the Madden games instead of switching or attending real games. The consumers will prefer to use more technology-oriented products as advances are made to shrink technology that athletes can wear while playing their sport. Nike needs to be seen as a sport-related product that also includes high technology. So the competitive strength assessment, as illustrated in Table 4.1, each factor is rated on a weighted scale, rating 1, low, high, 10 for each firm. And then taking that rating and multiplying it by weight. Quality is determined to be the most important criterion with a weight of 0.50, followed by marketing and price at a weight of 0.25 each. And Under Armour and Adidas all have a perfect score of 10. 10 multiplied by the weight of 0.50 equals a score of 5.0. Thus, all three companies have superior quality products. Overall, Nike is the strongest company at 9.50, followed by Adidas at 9.25, and Under Armour is a 9.0. Scores are determined by executives at the companies, students in a class, or in this case, the authors. Scoring is based on completing a SWOT and should foster debate. The authors lowered the score for Nike's marketing since it really hasn't been unique since Michael Jordan retired and Tiger Woods failed to win any major golf tournaments and has since had other problems as well. So that concludes our discussion today. Part 2, where we continue to talk about Chapter 4. I look forward to talking with you soon. Have a great day.